Not this linear thing. What actually happens is when you're fully dilated and you're ready to start pushing, the pain shifts. So the pain doesn't increase exponentially. What actually happens is your focus and even just what's happening in your body, instead of things opening and like making space for the baby to come down, the energy all shifts, your focus all shifts to actually pushing the baby out. And I was just so happy to have found out in my pregnancy that that isn't always the most painful part. And in real life, in my real life experience, in my clients' real life experiences, and so many other women's experiences, the pushing isn't the most painful part. And so I just wanted you to know that. Hi, today we're going to cover the number one myth your mind is going to try to tell you during labor. And it is going to be so helpful for you to know this right now, up front, because that's going to really help you mid-labor, and I'm going to tell you exactly what we're talking about. So we're going to be talking about the transition stage of labor today. And we're going to talk about three things related to it. We're going to talk about what it is really quickly, what your mind typically thinks in this stage of labor, and three, what is actually true. Because hint, what your mind is probably going to tell you is probably not going to be true, and that's why we're busting a myth here. So let's get into it. But before we do, my name's Emma. Hi, I'm Dr. Emma Nagy. I'm a mindset coach for mums, and I help you have a rock solid mindset through pregnancy, birth, and postpartum. And why? So you ultimately suffer less and enjoy your motherhood experience even more, even in the more difficult parts like the transition stage of labor, and ultimately adore your motherhood experience and just get off on the best start with your baby. So let's dive into the transition stage. What is it? So there are three stages of labor, okay? There's the first stage, second stage, third stage. First stage, early labor, that's when your cervix starts dilating, starts shortening, starts thinning and effacing, and contractions start, but they're a little bit further and farther between, and they're not, typically super intense. And then as labor goes on, you probably know, things, start quickening, and your cervix is going to start dilating even more, up to around 10 centimeters. And the second stage of labor, active labor, that's where the transition stage happens, that's where the pushing stage happens, and the end of your second stage of labor is when your baby is delivered in your arms, and then your third stage of labor is delivering the placenta. So we're going to just zoom in on the second stage of labor, on the active labor stage, and specifically the transition stage, which is around approximately the 7 to 10 centimeter mark. And I'm focusing a whole little epi on this stage because it is the most intense stage of labor typically, like for pretty much all of us. It's the most intense stage, and it can last anywhere from like 15 minutes to 2 hours on average. I think I was the higher end of that range for my first pregnancy, and the shorter end of that range for my second birth. But yeah, it can range. And what is going on in this stage that is so interesting is you're going from contractions intensifying and, like maybe the pain increasing to, fully dilated, to pushing out your baby. And I want to go into number two here because we're going to talk about what your mind often thinks during this stage. First of all, there's a myth here, and I believed this myth, so I hope that this is going to help you. I believed before I'd ever given birth for the first time that your labor and the amount of pain you feel increases like exponentially, like linearly, as you get closer to the 10 centimeter mark. So I thought, oh my gosh, if it is this intense at 6, 7, 8 centimeters dilated, how the heck would I handle 10 centimeters dilated? Okay, tell me if you have thought the same, because I definitely thought it was a linear increase. What is so helpful here to know is that that is not always the case, okay? What your mind thinks in this stage beyond, oh my gosh, it's just gonna get worse, and that's not necessarily true, and I'll dive into that in a sec. This is the stage where you think, I can't do this. Like, nope, cannot do this anymore. It is the stage where, say, if you wanted an unmedicated birth, that you're like, nope, like I can't do it. I can't go on. I want an epidural. Like, this is the time that you're asking for pain management. This was definitely me in my first labor. I wanted a water birth. I just arrived to the hospital. I was in the transition stage and I was like, I need an epidural. Like, I can't keep going like this. And my midwife looked me dead in the eyes. She's like, Emma, you wanted to try a water birth. And it is in that moment I knew two things. One, probably too late for the epidural at this point. Two, she just reminded me of like getting my power back. And I was like, I did want to try the water birth, you know? So I gave myself a quick pep talk. But what helped in that stage was she checked me when I first got to the hospital in like seconds before she said that to me. She was like, you're 8 centimeters. And I was like, oh, ding, ding, ding. This little fact that I just told you about being in the transition stage, I was like, oh, this, I knew to expect this. I knew to expect, I thought I wouldn't be able to do it in the transition stage. And that moves me to point number 3. What is actually true in this stage is, yes, you actually can do it. The cool thing here to know is that that feeling of you can't do it goes away as you near closer to that 10 centimeter mark. That is something that I didn't really like know to expect before I started researching things in my pregnancy, and it just became so handy for me to know this during birth. Because what happens is in the transition stage, especially like the 7, 8, 9 centimeter mark, you think you can't do it because all you're focusing on is the pain. Like, that is all you're experiencing in this moment if you do have one of the painful births. And check out my other episodes, because something else very cool that I fully believe is that not all births are painful, and there are ways to reduce pain naturally. But that's for other videos that I've covered already. But yeah, it's not this linear thing. What actually happens is when you're fully dilated and you're ready to start pushing, the pain shifts. So the pain doesn't increase exponentially. What actually happens is your focus and even just what's happening in your body, instead of things opening and like making space for the baby to come down, the energy all shifts, your focus all shifts to actually pushing the baby out. And I was just so happy to have found out in my pregnancy that that isn't always the most painful part. And in real life, in my real life experience, in my clients' real life experiences, and so many other women's experiences, the pushing isn't the most painful part. And so I just wanted you to know that. Sorry, I feel like I have this hair stuck to my lip gloss. There, got it. I just found it so empowering to know that it shifts. And I don't know why this is coming to me, but I have this analogy of like a ski hill. Actually, this happened to me in real life. I moved to Canada when I was 11 years old. My friends already like kind of knew how to ski. They knew how to skate. I was like definitely like at least 5 years behind in all the winter things. But I remember one day, it was in high school, it was the second time I'd ever gone skating or skiing. And we went to the ski hill. I did the bunny hill, which I could not do the first time that I went skiing when I was younger. Went to the bunny hill. It went all right. So I was like, okay, girls, like take me to the bigger hill, you know? And we took a wrong turn and we accidentally went down a black diamond. And I started freaking out. And it reminds me of the transition stage, because you're just presented all of a sudden with this very intense experience. You're like, I've never done this before. Like, this seems fast. Like, this seems scary. Like, I cannot do this. And on the ski hill, funny story, I ended up just sitting down because I'm like, I'm just going to bail and hurt myself. And then like a ski team instructor stopped and like helped me down. So it was all good. But in labor, we don't really have the option of just sitting, just sitting down, right? And just being like, never mind, I changed my mind. The transition phase though can feel like you've just gone down the black diamond and you're like, oh my gosh, I cannot do this. What is really cool though is, little did you know that around the next corner, it was actually just turning into this gentle slope. Maybe not gentle, but this steady slope back and forth. And now you're focusing on just weaving down the path, and you're not bombing down it anymore, you know? There's just a scenic route that you're focused. You're like, okay, I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna go here, and I'm gonna get to the end. That's what the pushing stage of labor is like. It's like there are focused parts, like with every contraction, that you're focusing on getting the baby down. So the pain definitely feels like more, it's like with a purpose. It goes from less like chaotic, like, oh my gosh, I have all this sensation in my body and nowhere to escape, to, oh, like we're on a mission now. Like this baby is coming out and you feel in tune with your baby and you're working together. And then your baby, you know, the end is in sight. So I just wanted to share that with you about the transition stage. If you get to this point in your labor and you think, I can't do this, I can't do this, and then you find out you're 7-8 centimeters, know that that shift is going to be coming soon. You are going to have a purpose, you're going to have a focus. Things don't get steeper, they don't get like more painful. Things will just shift for you. And so yes, you can do it. And it, like I said, it's temporary, you know, 15 minutes, 2 hours max is the average. So I just wanted to share that with you. So I hope you take this little tip away, put it in your back pocket for labor. A little homework takeaway that you can do is share this little tidbit with your partner. Tell them about how you might feel in this stage. Tell them a pep talk is going to be really helpful for you, especially if you do have a goal of wanting an unmedicated birth. Or if you're like me and you get to the hospital, maybe you're asking for an epidural, and they're like, too late. Know that it's not just going to escalate and get worse. Things will shift soon, and you can, in fact, do this. So I hope this episode helped you. I have so many more coming for you, a few already on the channel, but let me know what topic you want to hear about next. I wanted to share a little bit more about something else that I support mums with, and it kind of builds off and adds on to what you're probably already doing already, which is watching YouTube videos like this, taking a birth class. Maybe you have one, maybe you're signed up for one later, and normal birth classes are really great at educating you, informing you, letting you know what to expect, what your options are in terms of pain management, letting you know about the stages of labor, what's happening in your body at that time, gives you birth positions, maybe some breathing techniques. All of those are fantastic, but what I find that they're often missing, which is the piece that I'm so passionate about, is helping your mind feel good and helping your mind work with your body instead of against it during labor. Because that just can truly be the difference between a birth that you love or one that you hate, like one that doesn't go well. It's like our perceptions are just so powerful. If that resonates with you and you would love to go deeper into preparing your own mind to feel so confident, empowered, and excited and capable going into birth, and ultimately having just an incredible, epic birth experience, check out My Lighter Birth in the comments. It is my birth mindset course, and I'm going to walk you through exactly the steps to take through the rest of your pregnancy to prime your mind and make sure your mind is trained for a really incredible labor experience. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much for being here. Hope this was helpful for you and that myth is going to be busted for you in that labor and delivery room.